Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. All right, folks, Big Paul here with you today. I've got a great one for you. This is an interview with IFBB Pro and Masters competitor Vinny Galanti. Vinny is one of the best Masters competitors, hands down, in the world. I think he's won something like 10 IFBB shows, something like that. Vinny is the king of Masters bodybuilding. Him and there's a couple other guys that I would consider are sort of my Masters bodybuilding heroes. And it was an honor to get Vinny on to interview him and talk about his approach to Masters bodybuilding and some similarities and things, conclusions that we both sort of came to about training and diet that we both sort of share, and taking a intelligent approach to things as we age and to continue our journey in bodybuilding. In the Masters category, Vinny is getting ready for the Masters Olympia in Tokyo, Japan, here in another month or so, and it's exciting to see Vinny and to talk about his prep and what's going on in his approach to training and his philosophy on things. It's a great interview. I think you're going to enjoy it. Before we dig into all that, I want to remind you folks about the Science of Anabolics and PEDs e-course, which is on sale right now. I have $100 off on it if you want to pick it up for 4th of July. Use the code USA at checkout. Link is in the video description below if you want to grab it. It is 100 plus modules with 60 or so hours of content. Researcher Kurt Havens and I put a lot of effort into this course. I think you're going to enjoy it if you haven't picked it up already. It's a great deep dive into the science of PEDs, and it's all relevant information to our demographic, bodybuilding, and physique enhancement. I think you're going to enjoy it. Anyway, enough of that. Let's dig into this interview in just 1 second. All right, folks, Big Paul here today with the one and only Vinny Galanti. How are you, man?
I'm great, Paul. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Vinny is prepping for the Masters Olympia IFBB Pro. You're kind of the idol for us older guys that are Masters bodybuilders, man. You're one of the best out there to do it.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, you have a freaky physique that looks 20 years younger than what you are. I mean, you look like a younger guy. You can hang out there with the younger guys. What's your secret, man?
I wish I had a secret to tell you, but just really, just I think, um, really, I have to chalk it up to really taking the time out to one, have a really good off season, staying a little bit leaner than I was able to when I was younger. When I was younger, I could blow up a little bit and balloon up, and body fat would come off easy. But now it's a little harder, so I stay a little leaner, a lot leaner. Not to say I don't have my share of pizza in the off season, but I do keep my body fat low. I pay attention, a great deal of attention, which is annoying sometimes for myself, to properly warm up before each workout.
Yep.
But I think staying hydrated, drinking a lot of water. I live a healthy lifestyle other than what we do with our bodybuilding. But and on that note, I've in my career, I've never abused any anabolics or any substance. I don't do anything outside of what we do for bodybuilding. And whatever I do is very, like, I don't do anything stupid. And I think having the physique I have and being around for so many years, my first contest was 1984. You do the math, that's 42 years. I love the sport, just like we said before we got on the air. We're meatheads, but we still love what we do. And, we come from a different era, an era where conversations started with how's your diet and how's your training, and last was steroid use. And today, the conversation starts out with, I'm on this, and nobody pays attention to how they should approach their training and how they should approach their nutrition. And I think, all these years, I focused more on my nutrition and my training. And If I did a steroid, it was the back burner. It was a second thought, third thought. So I think the look I have, the longevity I have, stems from being respectful to what everything is all about.
Yeah, it's funny as we get older, man. It's like I definitely have found staying leaner. It just I have a rule. I never get to the point where I can't see my abs. I mean, it's just if you get to the point where you can't see your abs, it's just such hard work at our age. It's really for anybody. Like my younger guys I'm working with, I keep them leaner. And you're so right about the focus on the diet and the training. I mean, that's all we ever. I remember back in the '90s, that's all we talked about
That's all we talk about.
was
All we talk about.
yeah. Yeah, how are you training? What did your diet look like? And I think some of it was it's just I mean, we didn't know a whole lot about PEDs back then. And it was just really basic shit. And I think that, like when I coach people, I think that's something that gets like some of the young guys disappointed. There really
Yeah,
is no secret cycle. It's just basic testosterone, growth hormone, and whatever anabolic that you tolerate well. You keep yourself healthy. That's important. If you're sick, if you make yourself sick, you can't last long enough to compete.
absolutely. I mean, you have to respect the whole entire process of what goes into what we do. And if you don't, and if you pay attention to one thing that you think that's going to get you the golden, you know, rail, it's you're mistaken, and you're going to come up short. And in the end, you're going to have either injuries, or you're going to burn out quick, and you're not going to produce the physique that you think you're going to produce. And that's what a lot of the young guys think today. Unfortunately, Paul, I think like we have. I've said this before. I'll say it again. We have a lot of people on social media who are amazing salesmen. They don't know what they're talking about, selling their ideas to people who don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You've got idiots teaching people who are uneducated, and they believe the bullshit they hear. And that's unfortunate for guys like us, because we have the truth. We know what goes into the recipe. We know the ingredients, and yet we're kind of sometimes invisible to these young guys. They don't want to
Yeah.
hear, and they get this. And you're right, they get disappointed. Like, no, there's got to be more to it than what you just said.
Yeah, and I really have been trying to spread that word. I've been making more of my content lately geared towards that, where it's just really it's doing the basics and doing them really well and just grinding. It's really really the hard part, the secret that nobody ever wants to hear. It's really just about consistency and hard work.
Like, just give you an example. I literally just had this conversation with a 16-year-old kid who loves everything about Nick Walker, right? And
Yep.
and when I was 16 years old, 17 years old, Gaspari was my guy. So I understand. I understand how you fall into a groove of following somebody you enjoy watching. And you know, he says to me, he asked me, "Okay, Vin, I'm using sea salt in all my meals, and my last meal before the gym, because of school, I eat it 45 minutes before I get to the gym. And I use a little sea salt in it. Is that okay?" I'm like, "Absolutely, it's perfect." He goes, "Well, Nick Walker also tells me that," I watch him on a podcast. He says in his intra workout, he uses sea salt also. And I said, "Well, you can, you don't have to. I mean, you're using a lot of sea salt throughout the entire day. You're pretty hydrated. I think it's a little overkill if you're putting it that close together." And the kid looked at me like, "You don't know what you're talking about." And I'm trying to explain to him, like, it's just too close together. I was just trying to say. And so I finally had to say to him, if you're eating your meal prior to the gym, 2 hours before the gym, not 45 minutes, then I could see you putting sea salt in your intra workout. And it doesn't, I feel like there's no common sense applied. Nobody's thinking outside the box. Everyone is just following the herd, and I'm going to do whatever anyone says, and I'm doing it, and I don't care if it's right or wrong. And it's kind of crazy today.
Yeah, it's really, and this is the part that I see a lot of young guys, and look, I've been that young guy before. They get focused on the minutia,
Mhm.
like the little shit that just doesn't matter. Like that sea salt in your intra workout shake probably doesn't make fuck all a difference of anything. To be honest with you, just eat your food, train hard, take basic PEDs, get up and do it consistently day in and day out. I call it worrying about the 5% when you don't have the 95 buttoned up. I mean,
Exactly. Exactly. I use the same term when I say you're more concerned about decorating the house than building the house. Same
yeah,
shit, right? So it's like you and I built a foundation all these years. Like you go back, you're 52, I'm 58. We're in the same ballpark of age bracket, and when you were up and coming, you probably had 10 years under your belt while you were entering a show. And I was only working out like maybe a year. I did my first show, but then I was training with bodybuilders and powerlifters and just grinding it out with guys who were ahead of me. And I listened and I did whatever they said to do. I didn't go outside and say, I'm going to listen to, 5 different people. I listened to 1 or 2 people, where today these guys are listening to probably 5 people every hour on the hour, different advice. And they get to the gym and they're confused. They're confused about how to train. They're confused about how to eat. They're hearing one guy say, like the Trend twins boasting about Trend. And it's like, are you nuts? You're teaching a whole generation of kids to think it's just okay to pound Trend down. And I'm seeing now a couple of kids that I come across have had some issues with some health issues because of that. And they're like, hey, this is real. Yes, it's real. You guys got to take this serious.
it's mental health too. I just talked about that today. I see a lot of guys that have just completely lost their shit from going crazy with trend and stuff like that. The irony is, like, I talked to Nick. Nick's a great kid. He's a super hard worker, and Nick really just does the basics. He's just a
Oh,
grinder, and
yeah, I think Nick knows that he has a following of kids are going to hang on to every word he says. He knows
yeah,
that.
and he does the basics, and he's just a super humble, hardworking guy. And I think that's the message that most people miss. They just get focused in on the little things, and I think that's kind of. And you remember back in the day, man, all we had were the magazines
Yep.
and the big guy in the gym.
Yep. Yep.
And
Like,
we knew there was some stuff missing in the magazines they weren't telling us, but you had to earn your way into the trust of that guy, the guys in the gym that were the advanced bodybuilders. They just didn't automatically tell you everything. They wanted to see you work hard. They wanted to see you in the gym regularly. And then, like, after a while, you could kind of like start to crack them a little bit and get in with them a little bit. But it took you had to earn your way in.
oh God, yeah. I remember I trained at Billy's Gym in Bayonne, New Jersey when I first started, and those guys. I mean, I had my balls broke for about probably 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
No, I think they took me serious, but they knew we got to break him in. We got to excuse my language. We got to fuck with him to see how much he could take. And that's just the way it was back in late '80s and early '90s. It was. I,
Yep.
I can't even imagine. Like, I try to do it today. I tease some kids, and it doesn't go over. They look at me like I'm.
Yeah, we're Gen X, man. The ball busting was part of our culture growing up. Yeah, no, I remember I started working out at a hardcore. It was more of a powerlifting gym, and man, those guys they did not fuck around. And when you were the new guy, you know you they looked at you like you were, you know, fresh meat, man. You had to earn your way in with those dudes, and then after a while, they kind of warmed up to you, and then would kind of let you in and let you work out with them. Like, at first they wouldn't even let me work out with them.
I got a couple of
Yeah,
guys. I work at Powerhouse in Saddlebrook, New Jersey, and every morning I go in there, and there's a couple of guys that train. There's 2 guys and a girl, and they train hard. They train hard, and when I walk in, the first thing they do is they look at me to see if I'm going to critique them, because they know I'm going to tell them the truth. And I think that what a lot of times today is the young guys don't understand the truth opposed to an insult. And
yeah,
but it's true. You walk up to somebody, they get all excited, like, "Hey, we're working, training, we're hard, we're grinding it out." And I'm like, "You did the entire set horrible. You're sloppy. You're not doing anything correct. Train harder." And like, we are training harder. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not training harder. You're training stupid. And I just say that to them. I'm like, stop training stupid and start training smarter. and that'll be
Yep.
harder. And you know, sometimes they get confused. They're like, what are you talking about? And then I have to show them. And then they fall into place. There's like probably like 5 or 6 in total down at Powerhouse that actually get it and they appreciate what I have to say sometimes. Oh, a lot of times. And then there's a lot of guys down there that don't even talk to me. I mean, like literally don't even talk to me. They don't want to hear it. I got this one guy right now who we used to be so cool with each other. One day he just stopped saying hello to me because he doesn't want me to walk up to him and say, "You're not training hard enough." He doesn't want to hear it.
Doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah, whatever. You know, it bothered me at first, and I started thinking like, all right, whatever. Sometimes you're invited to the party, and sometimes you're not. So I'm not invited to the party. I'm not. I guess I'm not one of the cool kids. So whatever.
I mean, it is fun though when it clicks with people. Like I do have some young kids I work with that it takes some time, but they get it after a while. And it is fun when you get some guys that work hard and really like that's really like the lesson I try to impart on people
Yeah, absolutely.
when I work with them. It really starts with pushing yourself and working hard.
You
And you
have
have to you can't be focused on I don't know, this is kind of my thought on it too. Like I think too many guys get caught up in the results and the accolades, and you have to fall in love with the gym first. It has to be about that. It has to be about the process and falling in love with the gym. If you don't love the gym, you're not gonna succeed at this.
you could stand on a treadmill and look out the window, and you see anybody walking in from their car to the front door, and I would say not everybody, but 9 out of 10 times anybody they're walking into the gym focused on their phone. They're looking at their phone. They don't see their surroundings. They're not walking into the gym to train. They're walking into the gym to exercise. And you and I, when we were up and coming, because we didn't have that device, we didn't have the phone. We Either you were shit scared getting to the gym because you knew what the fuck you were about to do,
Yep.
right? You were either, oh, fuck, I got to put 400 pounds on my back today and I got to squat. I got to challenge myself. I got 3 guys waiting for me. They're going to break my balls if I don't train hard. I'm going to break their balls if they don't train hard. You're going to battle. You're going to war. And there's
Yep.
no battle or no war when I see people walking in the door. How many people walk in? They're bullshitting with their other friends. They don't train hard. There's nobody. I don't see anybody like zoned in, like really. And then you see a guy like me walking into the gym. Leave me the fuck alone. I don't want to talk to you. And you're like, well, you're an asshole. I'm like, no, dude, I'm focused on what I want to do. Guy walks up. This is a true story. Yesterday, middle of my set, taps me on my shoulder. What are you on? You look amazing. I'm like, what am I on? Yeah. What are you on? Are you on Anabolic? You're on Winstrol? What are you doing? I'm like, that's your fucking first fucking question to me? You don't ask me when am I getting up in the morning to do cardio? How long I'm doing cardio? What's my second session of cardio? What's my diet like? That's the first fucking question. And I like lost my shit. He walked away. I had to go, and I know the guy, and I had to go apologize to him afterwards. I'm like, dude, man, you just triggered me. It's a Sunday morning. I don't want to be here. I have to be here right now, and I got to do extra work. I'm doing my shit that I don't, like I call it like, uh, tucking the corners in a sense. Like I got to do things that you skip kind of during the week, and so I do that on Sundays. And he just set me off, and I said to him, "Hey, listen, I apologize, but like, think of like, you think that's really respectful? Walking up to me, stopping me in the middle of my set to ask me what I'm on, like." And then you expect to be really nice about, oh, like, let's have a conversation. Let me stop my workout to talk to you. No, you fucking moron. Don't fucking bother me during my workout. And that's the attitude I get. And like, people are like, whoa, you calm down. But it's not like that I'm wound up or anything. It's just like, I don't get the mindset when you walk into the gym and like think like you see somebody training, or in their mind, they don't know that somebody's training. They're just doing an exercise, and it's okay to stop them and start talking to them. You and I would never have done that 20 years ago, walking into
No.
the gym. You'd be
No.
punched in the face.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You would get punched in the face. Yeah. You definitely would get punched
Yeah.
in the face. Yeah. I was last year. I was on contest prep. I kind of lose my shit. I get very impatient with that kind of shit on
Yeah,
contest prep. There was a
you know,
kid on.
yeah, I was
Go
gonna say,
ahead.
when someone's deep into it, when they're losing their patience. They're not cheating on their diet. They're miserable, losing their patience. You're doing it 100%. God, I'm sorry I cut you off.
Yeah, I was on prep, and this kid was sitting on a machine, and he was just fucking off on his phone. And I went over and I asked him, I'm like, "Hey man, how many sets you got left?" And he goes, "3." And then he just goes right back to looking at his phone, and I was just like, "Motherfucker." All right. I'm like, let's get moving. It's time to move. I'm working in with you. And he's like, I don't work in with people. I got, and I'm like, well, you are today, or you're done. You're done. You're off this machine. Yeah.
I do it all the time.
Th-
I do it all the time. I get
yeah,
it.
that shit wouldn't have fly. So let's talk about training a little bit, man. How, as we get older, it's definitely something I've struggled with. Is I definitely can't do the crazy shit I did in my 20s. I've had to evolve my training. And, you talked about it, alluded to it a little bit, but training smarter as you get older. How has your training evolved? How do you train now?
So, give you an example. Like I did chest today, and I have a certain warm up that I do where I lay on a bench and I bring my arms in a circle and I just do that for about 10 minutes, where I'm just loosening up my shoulders and I'm just you know laying on the bench. It looks like I'm doing a shoulder press, laying on the bench, and I do about 10 minutes of that combined, and I went into dumbbell flies, and I think I started out with 10-pound dumbbell flies for 3 sets of 10, where I think some people look at that you're wasting your time, but I got to get blood in the muscle. I got to get that flowing. I look at isolation movements as my bread and butter right now as I'm older than my compound movements. I've already built the house. I've already done years of compound movements, the incline bench pressing and deadlifting and squatting. So I can actually save those exercises for last in the workouts now because I need to warm up properly. So I start out with, like today, I started out with flies, and then I moved into a Smith machine. When I did the flies, I only went up to 50s. Now, I say only, but back in the day, I could go up to 90s. So now it's 50s. And I'm staying in the 12 rep range. I can go heavier, but I know that would be foolish because I have 14 anchors in my shoulders and I shouldn't be challenging any heavier weight. When I got to the Smith machine, Paul, I literally just put a 10-pound plate on each side. I did a set of 20, really super slow, get some more blood in the upper chest, another 10 for about 12 to 15, took those off, put a quarter on, and I think I did 3 sets, working sets with just a 45 on each side, really super slow for 8 to 10 reps. And the third set, I did a rest pause set. So now I'm getting really warmed up. Blood's a lot of blood into the muscle. And I moved over back into the flat dumbbell where now my elbows are warmed up and the ancillary muscles in my shoulders are now lubricated and warmed up, and they can help me control the dumbbells. Because on a Smith machine, you don't need to control anything; it's just up and
Yep.
down, right? So now I move over into the dumbbells. Um, I teamed up with a guy named Pat down South Jersey the last few weeks, and we were doing a lot of Menser kind of training, where we're doing like compound movements followed backed up by isolation movements. And because I have the former shoulder surgeries, I can't take a lot of volume for my shoulders and my chest and shoulder training. So I have to keep it at a minimum where it's high volume, but like I tap and go with it a little bit. I can't do supersets more than 2 weeks. I gotta call it a day after about probably like 8 to 10 workouts, and then I gotta go back to training like in between like almost like a 6 to 12 rep range. But that comes after warming up for a long time. A guy said to me today, this guy, a longtime friend, he says, "You really pay attention to the detail of warming up." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm 58 years old. That's why I'm here. I'm still doing what I'm doing." However, I did if I never had my injuries, I don't know if I would, one, be competing today. Two, if I was and training, I don't know if I would still be training kind of like reckless, which would have been how every guy you talk to in their 50s say, I wish I could do what I used to do. And they still try to do that.
Yeah,
And
it doesn't work.
huh?
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. No. So I'm in one way. I don't wish rotator cuff surgery on my worst enemy. I have 14 anchors throughout both my shoulders, and it took me a while to get through all of that. Not just physically, but also mentally. I went through a mind fuck for a while. I suffered a little depression, and I got all through that. And now here I am. I'm so grateful that I've been able to, win 11 Masters Pro shows, and now heading to Japan and going into a Masters Olympia. I know what I'm up against. These guys are just bigger, and they're fuller and rounder. So I have to present a physique that's grainier, denser, and I got to bring this old man body. I got this old muscle. And so I just got to make sure it's detailed. And when I train back, especially too, I'm on the assisted pull up for probably 15 minutes. And so my arms don't get tired before my back, I'm staying in a 6 to 8 rep range, not like a 15 to 20 rep range, which I could do, but then my shoulders get tired, my arms get tired, and then I can't do back. So I do like probably 10 to 12 sets of like 5 to 8 rep range, just to like loosen everything up and keep it going and moving it and get the blood in there and wake up the lats and wake up the back without having to tire out my arms. So I just approach everything slow. And I think it's like kind of like when I get people who train with me, especially on leg day. I actually, this past Saturday, I trained with this girl, Michelle, who came up to me, cute girl. She's like, can I train legs with you? I'm like, are you serious? You want to train legs with me? I go, why? She's like, I want to learn from you. I'm like, look, I'm training for the Masters Olympia. I'm not holding back. So I'm going balls out. If you can keep up, you can keep up. I'm not expecting you to lift the same weights, but if you can keep up. So for 30 minutes before she got there, I did my thing. I warmed up. I was on a bike. I stretched. I did my thing of what my normal protocol that I usually use for warming up. And this girl kicked my fucking ass. She kept up with me. I was like, she's using the same weights I'm using, and she wasn't even struggling. I'm like, Michelle, you can go a lot harder. She's like, I am going hard. She wasn't flinching. She didn't make any faces. She just grinded it out. I'm like, I can't believe it's like we're living in an era of like guys don't train as hard as the girls. Like I see this all the time. All the time.
Some of the female competitors get after it. It's crazy. They can go hard.
They go hard. Yeah. 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 And she's not
I
even.
sort of had I was gonna say I sort of had the same realization as you, man. I used to be really like a heavy, hardcore, like hit style, high intensity type of trainer when I was younger, and I kind of got to the point where I just kept hurting myself, and I kind of came to that realization where you have to get more out of less,
Yeah.
and really just it's amazing what you can do if you really just focus on the weight and learn how to control it
Mm-hmm.
and manage that weight and control that weight and get a really good squeeze and feel everything, like really focus on feeling the weight. It's amazing what you can get out of stuff. I was the biggest on stage last year I've ever been. I was 250 pounds on stage last year, and it's probably probably the weakest I've ever been to coming in. But it's amazing, like how you can really, if you're really focused with how you train and you are intelligent with how you train, you can really do a lot.
I'll be the first. I will admit this. I'll say this. Probably the injuries that I've suffered from, worse from, trying to train too heavy, thinking that's what I should have been doing,
Yep.
when my body works better on volume all those years. Now,
Yep.
I
Mine
can't
too.
do volume that I used to, that I should be doing. Let me rephrase that. It's going to sound like I'm contradicting myself. My muscles work, my muscles respond to 12 to 15 rep range.
Hmm.
with a certain amount of weight. I'm not a strong bodybuilder. I've never been a strong bodybuilder. I've never been a guy picking up 150s, dumbbell benching them. Never benching 275, 315. Never done that. It wasn't, but I tried to do it. And all I did was, I think, just killed my shoulders. I squatted 500 pounds. I shouldn't have been doing that. I've got 2 herniated discs now from it. So now I'm training the way I should have always been training. Yeah, we were younger, we were impressionable. So I get the kids today. I understand them. They think I don't understand. I've been there, I've done that. That's what I'm trying to explain to them. So now I'm training the way I should be training. I focus on what I can do, not what I can't do. There's days where I can curl a 40-pound dumbbell. However, it takes me 5 sets to get there. Back in the day, I could pick up a 40 real easy and start curling it. Now it takes me, I pick up a 10, I get some blood in there, 15, 20. And as I get heavier with some of the weights, I actually drop the reps down a little bit sometimes, just so I can handle a little heavier weight. And then I know, like, okay, wait, last week I was able to curl the 40-pound dumbbell for 8. Right now, the 30s feel really heavy. Well, now you apply your experience and go, not today. We're not going past 30s. Actually, we're going to stick with 20s today. So you have to know when to push it, and mentally when to push it is one thing, opposed to how your body actually feels. And I know there's an argument to that where people could say, if you do it the way you feel, you'll never do it, right? So there's that argument, like, if you go by how you feel, you won't apply the effort into the gym. But when you're older, you have to apply that, and you have to be smart about what you're doing. I see so many guys, and I'm sure you do too, who are in their 50s hack squatting 6 plates, and they don't have big legs. Just
Yeah.
because you can do
All
it, why are you doing it? It
all
doesn't,
the time.
all the time, right? I could take a guy who can hack squat 6 plates on each side and put him through 2 plates on each side, and they get the tremendous pump that they don't normally ever get. But they're so brainwashed on pushing and pushing and pushing that they don't get the response or results that they really want. Listen, I'm the first one to admit, like, I feel like shit sometimes when I see somebody lifting next to me a lot heavier, and then I got to take my t-shirt off and train in a tank top to feel better about myself because I look crazy, right? And like, oh, I'm just messing around. Yeah, just got to apply, proper warming up and put your ego aside.
Yeah, it's the same thing with food too. Like I've noticed that I really have to. I used to be, when I was younger, it used to be all about just shoving down as much food as I could shove down, and I've had to be smarter with the food too, smarter with my food choices, being
Yeah.
aware of how my stomach digests things.
Oh yeah, big time now.
I never paid attention to any of that before. Like if something made my stomach upset, I'd just eat it anyway and just push through it. And like that's another thing that's really changed. What's your approach to diet? What does your diet look like now?
So I'm on the same page you are right now with what you just said. Exact. Um, when I started competing again a couple of years ago, after the shoulder surgeries, one of the staples was ground turkey because it was easy to make. I could make burgers out of it. I could pan fry it with some Pam and put some, like peppers and onions in it and mix it with some rice, and it would go down easy. Very easy to make. But I started to notice, and I wasn't even like thinking, oh, I got to change this, but I realize now that ground turkey does not work well for my stomach. I blow up from it. I get really bad pain in my stomach from it. Um, Down to a few choices of proteins. Eggs are fine. Red meat is fine. Fish is fine, and chicken is fine. And that's about it. And I could eat red meat sometimes twice a day because I really can digest it well. I'm down to white rice, cream of rice, and Gerber baby food rice. Those are the carbs that I could eat when I'm training for a show because I don't want that distended feeling in my gut and the pain, because there's so many foods out there that I just can't eat anymore because I'm older, I guess, or maybe it's years of eating it. I don't know. Can't eat a sweet potato. I want to gag. I get horrible constipation from it. Regular potatoes are just I'm starting to realize make me, I fart all day long when I eat them. I don't
Yep.
mean gross, but it's just like it doesn't work for my stomach anymore where I could used to be able to eat them. I'm down to a very small amount of food. And I think as you get older and you're doing what we're doing at this age after we've been doing it for so long, another reason why you could be so irritable is because you are limited on what you could eat. And when you do eat, you want to enjoy it. And 90% of the time, you're not really enjoying it because it's the same shit all the time, right? So I noticed that when I was younger, I couldn't get away with, now this is a weird one. I couldn't get away with so many carbohydrates. Today, I can I can eat a lot of carbs. I don't
Same
know,
with me.
because on paper it says a man in their 50s, I can't remember technically why, but you're not supposed to be able to break down carbohydrates. I can break that. I'm fine with it. I could have a 500-gram day where 20 years ago I couldn't do that. I used to be able to eat 10 ounces of protein per meal. I can't do six. Six is my limit now. If I go more than 6 ounces of protein, I can't digest it. So I'm not eating a lot of food per se, but I guess my consumption comes more from carbohydrates than protein. If you look at it in the sense of like what I eat less of or eat more of from back in the day. Yeah. So, sea salt and pepper goes a long way, makes your food taste better, and sugar-free condiments help the whole process. But I stay away from. I can't drink protein powder anymore. I have to
I
actually
can't
mix.
either.
Can't drink it, or that's it. I'm done for about 5 hours, and then I can mix my protein powder in my cream of rice. I can mix it in the. I take my friend Eric Berger turned me on to this one, where I take the cream of the baby food Gerber baby food rice, which you do not have to cook. I just add the protein powder to it, a little sea salt, ice cold water, stir it up, and it's,
Oh, that's a good idea.
oh God, man, it is one of the most amazing things he's ever told me about, and he's a saved me. That's two of my meals every day because of my work schedule with my clients.
I'm going to add that one to my routine. That's a good idea.
But you have to use ice cold water with it, or it's not going to taste that good. And don't use that much sea salt. You just got to use a little bit of sea salt just to flavor it up a little bit. And it is literally, you could eat it in 3 minutes in between clients, in between work. It's a no brainer.
Easy to digest. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same spot with you with the only I could not do protein powders at all for a while. It was just fucked my stomach up completely, especially the whey-based stuff. I have been using some clear protein lately. I've noticed that I can do that. Dr. Mike turned me on to that. But like regular whey powder just does not agree with me at all anymore. And I'm pretty much the same thing. It's just chicken, beef, egg whites here and there, rice, cream of rice. When I'm on contest prep, that's it.
Yeah. On Sunday nights, I make a little concoction where I take, this doesn't sound good, but it tastes good. I take mashed avocado. I get it in either ShopRite or Trader Joe's, and it's a little packet, and I just scoop it out, and I take some sugar-free use HUGES barbecue sauce, and I mix it
Yeah, the
together.
GU stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that, and little sea salt, and I shred up my chicken, and I smash it all over it, and it's like you're cheating, but you're not. It's like you're getting 1 gram of fat, and it's like not a big deal. But it gets me through the week because if I'm not a great dieter, but I learned what things I could implement on a Sunday, one meal just to get me through the weekend to get started on Monday again. Because I think that means a lot. If you're a bad dieter, you need to know what your limitations are, and you need to know what can I put in my diet that could be a part of the program so it gets me through the week. I think that's smart dieting.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've noticed this too. As I've gotten older, my ability to stay disciplined on the diet and just eat the same boring shit over and over is a lot better. Like I just like it's easier for me to get locked in now than it was in my 20s.
Absolutely. Like I'm going to contradict myself, like what I said a moment ago. Like, yes, I'm eating the same foods. It's tiring and it's annoying. However, I don't need to cheat on the diet. Like yesterday, like we have family in from Italy, and yesterday, um, we had a really big party, big barbecue at my sister's house, and I was joking. Jason Hebert, who I'm saying his name wrong. Jason Hubert is helping with my diet, and I was messaging him, and I said, "This is going to suck on Sunday because my family's coming in from Italy, and the food is going to be amazing." And he's like, "How's that going to suck? You're training for the Olympia." And I was like, just joking, like like if you're an Italian from Jersey and you got family coming in from Italy, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking at all the food, and I'm like, nah. If this was 10 years ago, I'd have a hard time being there. I'd have to leave and eat the food, you know. But yesterday, no, I didn't have a. I don't have that desire. I think maybe it has to do with we know our time is ticking,
Yep.
and we know that we don't have many more contests left in our, maybe subconsciously. So why cheat on a diet? It doesn't make sense because this might be my last show. And listen, I know what I'm up against. I said it earlier in the podcast. These guys they're built different, and so I have to come in crazy grainy condition. I have to come in the detail of another level of what I'm not used to. I'm doing more cardio than I've ever done.
How
I
much
usually
are you doing right now? What are you doing?
so literally up until last year, my whole entire career of bodybuilding, 30 minutes 4 times a week on the treadmill, sometimes the stairs. And I got away with it. Not that I don't want to say like I got away with it like I was looking for a shortcut. I got away with it because I got the results that I was supposed to get. When I did the Hurricane Pro last year, I was looking for the change. When is it going to snap into gear? When is the metabolism going to kick in? Like when you're doing your thing and everything's
Yep.
just clicking. I got in condition. I won the contest, but I had to look at, okay, what was wrong? What what just wasn't working? And I had to be honest with myself. I'm like, okay, my off season needs to be even better than it usually is. I need to have some kind of cardio because I never do cardio in the off season. And this time I did cardio, but I did it in small amounts, 20 minutes, 3 days a week, just to keep it going.
Yep.
And then once I was like 20 weeks out, I bumped it up to 30, 4 days a week. And it was moving. My metabolism was working. I'm like, mm-mm. I think as much as I don't want to do it and as much as I don't believe in it, I got to see if it works. I got to do fasted cardio. So I started doing fasted cardio, 4 a.m. every day for 30 minutes, 4 days a week. And then between my last two meals, before my last meal, I should say, I would do another 30 minutes. And my body just started changing. And I'm like, all right, I'm on the right track here. And now I'm just used to it. I get up and I have my coffee, and by the time it's 4:30, I'm on the treadmill for 30 minutes, and
I
an hour 4 to 5 times a week.
I know the science behind the fasted cardio says it doesn't make any difference, but it's one of those bro things. I don't give a fuck what the science says. It works. It 100% works.
My skin is starting to look the way it used to look. Like I'm getting this thin skin that I definitely did not have my last show. I had it, I think, because I was in condition, but there was something missing, and I couldn't figure out what the hell it was. And I'm like, I'm looking at the pictures of when I was in the Legion and when I was in my earlier shows, like the Masters Pittsburgh Pro, and my skin's not looking the way it was when I was 52. Now I'm 57. I'm like, this is not, no, something's got to change. All right, I am definitely on a decline. And you have to, it's very hard to admit when you're getting older that it's just not working anymore. You need another change. You
Yep.
need to implement more. Now, I just turned 58 in April, and like, how much more work do I have to do to get in better shape? So I'm doing what I got to do, and we'll see if I will be so blessed if I could crack the top 10 in the Masters Olympia and call it a career. I don't know if I'm going to do another show afterwards. You know, I got family and friends coming with me to Japan, and the day after the show, we're going to go sightseeing. So I don't know how much I can stay on my diet in Japan. I would like to, do the Masters World, which is 3 weeks later. We'll see. Maybe I'll do the Atlantic Coast in November. I'm not 100% sure yet. I say that now because I'm in it, but once I have some really good sushi in Japan, that might whole completely change.
I
So
was going to do I was going to do the Masters Worlds last year after Masters Nationals after I won there, and then I went on vacation the week after, and I'm like, nah, I'm done for the year.
yeah, yeah. I don't know.
Um,
We'll see. We'll see how much I could stay disciplined while we're in. Because I remember one of the shows I did a while back in the last couple of years. I had not planned on competing 3 weeks later, and for one whole week, I stayed on my diet, but every night I ate something bad. And by the time Saturday rolled around, I looked crazy. I'm like, I'm in better shape. And I just
yeah, it's
kind of,
wild how that works sometimes. Your metabolism will just spin up.
so we'll see. We'll see. I'd like to do the Masters World. I like to go. Gary Udit has a great show down in Pittsburgh, and I've had success there in the past. We're winning the Masters Nationals. And I just, I like that show. I like how it's run. You could just leave your hotel room, take the elevator down, and walk to like literally walk through the lobby and go to the contest.
Gary's shows are always the best. His shows are amazing. North Americans, Masters, Nationals, Masters Worlds. They're just amazingly run. His shows are always run really well.
Yeah, yeah. And I think now we're seeing, when you and I were younger, we saw a very deep teenage bodybuilding era. Like it was deep.
Hmm.
You had 10 to 20 kids in a weight class. Now we're not seeing that anymore. We're seeing a really deep masters division. And
Yeah,
it's, the masters guys are growing. I've I've been fortunate where I've made bodybuilding my career. I've been a personal trainer. I've owned businesses, gyms, and I have always taken bodybuilding as as my profession. I've always took it as very serious and applying how to make money within the confines of trying to guest pose, travel around the world, magazine covers, all that stuff. Right? I did all of that, and now I'm seeing guys catching up to me who were competing with me as a teenager, who started a family after college, and they stopped because they had to do their thing with life, right? And now they're
I did the same thing.
right, yeah. So I got a couple of guys that I've met on the pro stage, like, dude, we competed against each other in 1991 on the Jersey or the Suburban Bodybuilding Championships in Jersey, and I don't remember them, but they remember me, and it's kind of cool. You were seeing guys reemerge and compete because their finances are all set. And that's one reason why I could do Japan, because I don't know if I could do this if I was a younger man. I couldn't afford it.
I took a full 12 years off from competing,
Really?
and then came back in my 40s, and I don't know. I just got bit by the bug. And, it's just family, business, shit.
Yep.
Just the whole deal. I got married and had two kids, and I was running a business, and just other things took priority. And then I kind of got back into the gym, and I forgot how much I loved it and missed it.
Sure.
Got bit.
Yeah. We're living in here's the thing too, which I don't say often enough. What we've learned from the years of grinding it out in hardcore gyms, learning from guys who were there before us, and now, like you said a moment ago about like fasted cardio and bro science. Okay, there's a place for bro science.
Yep.
And there's a place now where we're taking really smart competitors who look at bodybuilding completely different than meatheads like me, right? And I'll be the first to admit, I'm open-minded to learning some new shit. And that's why I'm enjoying bodybuilding today. Because
Yeah.
there's so much new information that I'm applying, learning from training methods to tweaking the diet to approaching training in a way where you're you know listen, I'll be the first to admit, I never gave two shits about how I trained. I just walked into the gym, I trained, I got a result, I ate good, and I went home and I competed. And I took it for granted. I'll be the
Yeah.
first to admit. I won many shows not knowing what the fuck I was doing. I just did the work. But now that I have these 14 anchors throughout my shoulders, I've had to reemerge as a whole new competitor. I have to come back and go, okay, what I did is not going to work. Let me listen to this kid who's 28 years old. Let me see if what he's got to say I can apply. And my nephew Stefan, who's in his 30s, was shocked. Not shocked, but he was like kind of like impressed. He said, Jason, your coach is in his 30s and you're listening to him? I'm like, yeah, the guy's got a lot of knowledge. And, you know, when I was on my way back and coming back into competing, I started to, we're Tom Brady. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, but I'm a Tom Brady fan. And I'm a Tom Brady fan because he was an older athlete trying to figure out how to stay relevant as an athlete getting older. So when I started to read up and listen to all the things that he was doing, the first thing I said, my off season sucks. I need to have a way better off season because back in the day, I could blow up and do whatever I wanted to do and
Yeah.
get in shape. Nothing went wrong when I went and trained for a show. I could be fat, out of shape, and 12 weeks out, train for a show, win a show, not a problem. Can't do that when you're a masters competitor. You got to have a better off season. And, I started to implement, as everyone does, deep tissue massage, cupping, any modality that I found that worked for me, I applied. And then I also started to look at it another way, where, okay, we're beating the shit out of ourselves in the gym. Then we're going into what we call a recovery phase, and we're going to go and beat the shit out of ourselves by somebody pounding us with a metal rod and scraping our bodies and cupping, and now you're all beat up from that. When do you recover? So I started to look at like recovery in a different way too, where I would say, okay, every ninth week, I'm going to go 8 weeks, and every ninth week, I'm completely taking off from the gym. And after 3 days, I'm going to get some work done, some body work done. And then 2 days before I go back to the gym, I'm going to do it again. So that way I can recover from the body work. Because when we're beating ourselves up in the gym and doing body work, when are we recovering? It's
Yeah.
almost
Right.
impossible. It's almost impossible. So I started to apply that rule for me. And I found that I don't like cupping. Personally, I don't think it does anything for me. And I don't know if it's a bro science thing. I don't know if it's a real science thing. I don't know what it's really doing, except making you look like you're a pepperoni on a pizza. It's not, I don't know if it's really doing anything. It feels good sometimes. And sometimes I feel like I'm claustrophobic from having all these things on my body. Get them off, get them off. I'm like, get them off. I got to get them off now. I start freaking out. So I go to this guy Anthony in Nutley, New Jersey, at Fit Nutley, this gym over there, and Anthony works on me at least probably once a month and some real deep tissue stuff. And I just find like I have to encompass everything. I've got the training, the recovery, the rest periods, all of that has to be 100%, or I'm not doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. Getting older, having injuries, going through all those things forces you to be a better bodybuilder, or you're going to go extinct if you keep trying to do things the way you used to. I think that's what happens to a lot of older bodybuilders, and why they can't keep going is they just try to keep doing the same things they could when they were younger. The way I look at it, it's like, when I was 22, I could drink a fifth of tequila go out and party and play a backyard tackle football game and go lift and be just fine. If I tried to do the shit I did in my 20s now,
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
I'd be in the hospital.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, and and that's another thing too. Like, I don't mean to shit on everybody young. There's a lot of really good, super smart young people out there. It's just sometimes it's hard to discern what's BS and what's real on social media.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the difficult part. But I have met some incredibly intelligent and very smart people that have helped me out immensely to be a better bodybuilder, and I try to share that information. I try to cut through the BS and share the information. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to see how that you've evolved, and that's why you're still going.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I say now, like, this is my last show, right? And we always say that when we're
We always say it's our last show,
yeah, we always say
Vinny.
I say that to my friends in like
Every show is my last show, Vinny.
every show. Yeah, you said that last year. I'm like, no, but if the Olympia wasn't here, I wouldn't do it. Like, you find a show to do. Shut up.
Yeah,
I think,
every show. I told myself if I won my pro card, I was done, and then like, oh man, now I want to
yeah.
get back into it.
I got a good friend, Billy Scarnati, who really inspired the hell out of me this past year, where he tore both. He's 67 years old, and he and I both won our pro cards. He won the over 50, and I won the over 40 at the Masters Nationals back in 2008. We've been friends for a really long time, and he tore both his quads. He's a teacher, and he had a teacher-student game, and he went up for a layup, came down,
Oh,
tore both his quads 4 years ago. And he made a comeback this year at 67. And, we were talking about how disciplined he had to be for that
it's
comeback.
harder.
It was harder, but and he was miserable doing it, but he was so grateful that he did it because it got him back to being on, disciplined and just having a what's the term I'm looking for? Just being regimented again, because
Yeah,
when we're regimented as bodybuilders, we accomplish a lot more. I think because that's how we operate. That's how we're wired.
I think it's just good for the human spirit in general to have a purpose and to have a goal and to be working on something. I think we're meant to work, really, and it's when you're just aimlessly just sitting around drifting and doing nothing, people lose their way in life.
Oh, sure, sure. And you're going back to talking about like off season and learning from people and seeing, and I appreciate that people are messaging me and coming up to me in gyms and saying I'm an inspiration. But there's so many people out there that have inspired me, and one of them was Billy from his comeback with his quad tears, and then my friend Eric Berger and Jimmy Bryan, who were Masters competitors, who if they weren't competing, Vinny wouldn't be probably who Vinny is right now because they dug so deep in their off seasons and just the way they were training that made me start thinking, wait a minute, these guys are going to pass me up. And these are really good guys and good competitors where I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not doing what these guys are doing. I got to get on the ball here. So, you know, you learn from your peers and you learn from outside influences that you don't even know who they are that come up with some really good stuff. Like you say, hey, are they full of shit? Is it true stuff? Are they really do they really bring something to the plate, to the table? But we have enough experience to know it's really the basic stuff that gets you.
Yep.
No gimmick. You can't do a gimmick. There's no gimmicks. When you start hearing somebody saying, "Oh, I want to do this, this, and this, and implement it because that'll override cardio, and I'm going to take this supplement," no,
It
you.
really just boils down to consistency and hard work. I, I,
Yep.
I feel like I beat that message to death. Even if you use new methods and techniques, and those still are applied within the context of just working your butt off, really.
I remember a couple of years ago, I was tired and burnt out. I probably should not have competed. I don't remember what year this was, but I did the Masters World, and I ended up in fifth. And I can't remember who the competitor was, but he was on social media putting up that he eats English muffins as carbohydrates. And I'm like, fuck, I eat English muffins in the off season. Why? I'll do that. So I applied it during my prep. It didn't work. I took a shortcut because I didn't want to do the work. It's really easy to slice an English muffin up, put it in a toaster, and you know, put an egg on it and eat it. Right? That's not bodybuilding. It's good food for off season. It's fine, but it's not going to get you where you need to be
Right.
for the contest, right? And so we've all done it. We've all been there, and when we all know when we're doing it, we're so entrenched in like, I'm fucked up right now. I don't have the energy to back out of the contest because I'm too embarrassed to back out. I should back out of the contest because I'm not doing the right thing, but I also don't want to back out of the contest because I love competing. And sometimes we play a mind fuck with ourselves.
Oh yeah, we totally do that. Totally do that to ourselves. All right, Vinny, where can people get a hold of you? Anything you want to promote? What you got going on, man?
So yeah, I'm on Instagram, Galanti_fitness, and you can reach me there. I've been trying to really just focus and hone in on training, and whatever videos I'm putting up, it's really one of my friends saying, dude, do a video. You haven't done a video. Because I'm so focused on the training right now that I'm not focused on doing anything else. So, follow me for the journey to the Masters Olympia in Japan. I leave August 2nd. And, I want to give a big shout out to Thomas Anderson, who introduced you and I, where I think he just put out a new book called the Anabolic Encyclopedia
Yep.
2025,
Yep.
which has a lot of great information on anything and everything under the sun. And he's very knowledgeable. You can contact Thomas Anderson on social media. And I want to give a big shout out to my sponsor, G Code Nutrition, who's been with me since my comeback when they started their company. And they've been backing me. And that's it. Just, hopefully I can have a good showing in Japan and get a chance to do a really good posing routine for the fans in Japan and, have fun and get some good sushi there. So we'll see.
Well, I'll be rooting for you and living vicariously through you. Hopefully, I'll be there at some point.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I appreciate you coming on today, Vinny. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me, and thanks for the kind words.